This video is about inverse trig functions. Let's draw a diagram. This is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. All students take calculus. Then this is the dot. Here is the dot. This is the dot labeled as 1. This dot labeled as a -1. Then this is a dot labeled as a 1. And this dot labeled as a -1. Then open circle here, open circle here. Then we write down the angle 0. This will be pi, and pi over 2, pi over 2. This is a positive infinity, this is negative infinity. So you have negative pi over 2, negative pi over 2. For x-axis, we know C as t, xy and y over x. So for x-axis, this one means inverse cosine. Inverse cosine. This is inverse sine. This is inverse tangent. This one is arc sine. Then arc tangent. For arc cosine x, domain is a closed interval from -1 to 1. Range is a closed interval from 0 to pi. For arc sine x, domain is a closed interval from -1 to 1. Range is a closed interval from pi over 2 to pi over 2. You could say this. And arc tangent x, domain is from -infinity to positive infinity. Range is open interval from pi over 2 to pi over 2. Then we know in the first quadrant, arc CST, positive x, will be in the first quadrant. We will use the reference angle alpha. For special angle, we use pi over n. For arc cosine negative x, we'll go to second quadrant. We will use 180 degree minus alpha or pi minus alpha to stand for the angle in the second quadrant. If it's a special angle, we will use n minus 1 pi over n. For it, arc sine negative x and arc tangent negative x will go to fourth quadrant. The pattern for the angle in the fourth quadrant is negative alpha, and for special angles, it's a negative pi over n. This point shows arc cosine 1 equals 0. This point means arc sine 1 equals to pi over 2. this point shows arc cosine -1 equals pi. This point shows arc sine -1 equals -pi/2. Let's go to A. This is a quadrantal angle. So we know this one you have a -1 and a -pi/2. Therefore, you will have a -pi/2 will be the answer. For arc cosine -1, it's here. Cosine is the x-axis. You have -1, this is a pi. Therefore, arc cosine -1 equals pi. Arc tangent 0 equals 0 because tangent 0 equals to 0. Let's go to arc cosine 1/2. This angle is not quadrantal angle. Therefore, we just analyze. Since this is a positive, so go to the first quadrant. Pattern will be pi/n. So we set up this equals to x. We have a cosine x equals 1/2. Reference angle equals 60 degrees equals pi/3 because cosine 60 equals 1/2. Then this x will be pi/3 equals the reference angle. Let's go to E, arc sine -√3/2. We do know for arc sine -x, go to the fourth quadrant. The pattern will be -pi/n. So this is a negative, then the fourth quadrant. Its a pattern is -pi/n. So we set up arc sine -√3/2 equals x. Then sine x equals -√3/2. Reference angle equals 60 degrees because sine 60 equals √3/2 equals pi/3. Therefore, your x equals -pi/3. Let's go to F. Inverse tangent of -√3/3. Check the diagram. Arc tangent -x will go to the fourth quadrant. Pattern will be -pi/n. So this is negative sign, fourth quadrant, -pi/n. So we set up this equals to x. Tangent x equals -√3/3. The reference angle will be 30 degrees because tangent 30 equals √3/3 equals pi/6. Therefore, for x equals -pi/6 because this is the pattern. Let's go to J. Arc cosine -1/2. Check the diagram. You have arc cosine -x. Go to the second quadrant. Pattern is n-1 pi/n for special angles. Therefore, this is negative. Go to the second quadrant. Pattern is n-1 pi/n. So we set up this equals to x. We have cosine x equals -1/2. Reference angle alpha equals 60 degrees because cosine 60 equals 1/2. That equals pi over 3. Therefore, for x equals, we got to use this pattern. N equals 3, so you could say 2 pi over 3. Let's go to H, arc cosine 1. This is a quadrantal angle. So you see here is 1, and this is the angle is 0. You will see arc cosine 1 equals 0. Let's go to number 2. Find the exact value of each expression. Before we go to the question, let's draw a diagram. Label as 1, 2, 3, 4. All students take calculus. Then we have arc CST, positive x, go to the first quadrant. Arc cosine negative x, go to the second quadrant. Arc sine negative x and arc tangent negative x, go to the fourth quadrant. So for this one, inverse tangent of negative 1/5, since this number is a negative, go to fourth quadrant. We will make inverse tangent of negative 1/5 equals x. Basically, we are looking for cosine x now. For inverse tangent of negative 1/5 equals to x, we know tangent x equals negative 1/5. For tangent x equals sine x over cosine x. For the fourth quadrant, you will have a negative sine and a positive cosine. Therefore, this negative sign go to the top, negative 1/5. Then we will work out this r. It's x squared plus y squared. You have a negative 1 squared plus 5 squared. So you have 1 plus 25 equals square root of 26. So for the top, we divided by square root of 26. Bottom, we divided by square root of 26. This will be sine x. This will be cosine x. So for cosine x equals 5 over square root of 26. That is 5 square root of 26 over 26. So your answer will be 5 square root of 26 over 26. Let's go to B, tangent inverse sine of negative 4/7. Inverse sine of negative 4/7 will go to fourth quadrant. We will set up inverse sine of negative 4/7 equals to x. Then basically we are looking for tangent x. From here, we can get sine x equals negative 4/7. We will work out cosine x first. For cosine x, since this is a fourth quadrant, cosine x will be positive square root 1 minus negative 4/7 squared. You will get 1 minus 16/49. So you will get 49 minus 16 will be 33. You will get square root 33 over 49. Then we simplify square root of 33 over 7. Then tangent x equals sine x over cosine x. You will get sine x is a negative 4 over 7. Cosine x is a square root of 33 over 7. Then reduce. You will get negative 4 over square root of 33. Simplify, you will get negative 4 square root of 33 over 33. Let's go to C. Cosine inverse sine of 1 over 6. Since this is a positive, go to the first quadrant. Everything is a positive, so we don't worry about the sign. We will make inverse sine of 1 over 6 equals to x. Then we are looking for cosine x now. From here, we can get sine x equals 1 over 6. Then cosine x equals square root 1 minus 1 over 6 squared. So you get square root 1 minus 1 over 36. You will get square root 35 over 36. That is the square root of 35 over 6. So your final answer will be square root of 35 over 6.